Thank you very much, Control Room. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to Eco TV listeners. My name is Larry Sise, and with me is my colleague Manneh. We are back on our usual Thursday podcast with Eco TV International. As we promised last week, we will devote today's program to the audit reports of 2021, 22, and 23. Although there are snippets of the audit reports for 2017, 18, 19, which were released while all this noise on the 2021 to 23 reports were being debated in the public domain. We have that as our only item today, but Lamin will give us a post-mortem on the welcoming of the party leader last Saturday. He was part of the organizing committee for that. Lamin, back to you.
Thank you very much, Larry, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all our listeners, wherever you might be listening to us from. It's a pleasure to be with you again, and thank you for welcoming us into your homes. Yes, last Saturday we had a very rousing welcome for Mr. Darboe on his return from the 8-country European tour. And he had a hectic 6 weeks, and he achieved a lot for the party and for the country. And it was a pleasure to welcome him back home to the Gambia in a very befitting way, to show him that we appreciate what he's been doing for the party and the country, and a way of showing him also our attachment to him, his policies, principles, and his leadership of the party. So we did organize that, particularly the youth wing, Haji Swane and his colleagues, Boubacar Kante, Basumaila Fadera, Binzi Senghor, Sibo Janke, Jaula, Brikama Jaula, my son, Boubacar Siddiq Jammeh, etc. I'm sorry I might forget some names, but it will be long if I want to give the whole list. These were the guys who were in the pilot seat. They steered that welcoming, and they did a fantastic job of it. And we were thrilled to have so many people come. Some people couldn't come because they couldn't even find transportation to come, because who came from very far away. Those in the greater Banjul area here, some people walked from their homes 5-10 kilometers away to the venue when they couldn't find transportation. And it was really good. It was so massive that Mr. Darboe was supposed to have addressed the press briefly at the airport, but there was so much desire to hear him. And people were so many around him that we couldn't even get him out of the car to give the statement. So we had to cancel the press statement at the airport and go to Pipeline. And seeing the amount of people all along the trajectory, the route rather, from, now that's coming to me in French, from the airport to Pipeline, seeing the number of people who thronged the roads, and the enthusiasm. Some of them stood out there for 6-8 hours. Some came at as early as 10 a.m., waited for him until 8-9 in the evening to just see him pass and wave to him, and the emotions were amazing. And that shows to anybody who ever doubted it, the love this country has for Ousainou Darboe. the respect and admiration, and the knowledge that this is the man who can take the country to where we want to see it, who can deliver the Gambia we want, who can give us the leadership we deserve, and who can put an end to corruption and mismanagement of our resources, as shown by the audit reports and everything. And that is why some of the people are so bent on keeping Ousainou Darboe out of this race, because they know that the man is not for bending, as Margaret Thatcher would say.
Yes.
The man is not for bending, and he is consistent, resilient. He is the epitome of what we want for a leader. Somebody who has the courage to lead from the front, but who has enough confidence in himself to empower the people around him so that they take the country where we need to see it go. That is the Ousainou Darboe we have. That's the Ousainou Darboe that the country loves. That is the man we welcome on Saturday. And that is the man we're going to take to the elections in 2026, hopefully with our allies and partners in the opposition. And I'm sure that will happen, to root Barrow out of State House and bring in a more virtuous administration that will take the country where we need to go. But this is a man who, after 6 weeks, touring 8 countries, where he had no rest, he barely slept 4 or 5 hours a day. He would have programs until about midnight. People will take him home and sit with him and chat with him. And he's the guy who wouldn't say, guys, I'm tired, I have to sleep now.
He'll never say that.
He would sit. He would sit with them. Some of the people in the different countries would call me and say, Lamine, I think you need to talk to Mr. Darboe. Tell him to tell people to go to bed sometimes so that he can also get some rest. He doesn't send anybody else. I said, that's a lost cause. He wouldn't do it. I said, just talk to the people and tell them he needs to get some rest too. He's been traveling for almost 6 weeks. But, but the enthusiasm people have for him, you also understand that they want to see him, they want to be with him, even though it's not reasonable because he needs to rest. We don't want to have him burn out before the elections. But yeah, so that was happening. But he would sit there with them all the time and discuss with them, give them his points of view, and they would exchange points of view. He was there like that. And the day he was leaving, after all that difficulty and after all of those long trips and flights and not resting, he left his hotel, I think about 4 in the morning, to go to the airport. So he traveled from 4 in the morning, got here at 2 p.m., and from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m.,
he was on his
feet from the airport. Let's say from 3 p.m., because he got here about 2 p.m. By the time we managed to leave the airport, it's about 3 p.m. But from 2 p.m., he was on his feet, because that's when they received him at the airport, at the foot of the aircraft. Went to the airport, and then went to his car, and he was on his feet virtually from 3 p.m. until 9 p.m. Because he couldn't sit in the car. People wanted to see him. They came all that distance, at very high cost. There was this old man who said, he had to sell his cock to be able to afford
some chickens.
Yeah, to be able to pay for his trip here. He went to work in somebody's farm, who, because he worked on his farm, would take him on his motorcycle to where he would catch a taxi. Yeah. And when he got to that point, the motorcycle driver didn't have any fuel. So he went back, sold a cock, and took that money to buy fuel, 2 liters of fuel, just to show this man had nothing. Yeah. But he was so keen on seeing his future president that he went to those extents and came here. And in fact, it was so moving that the youth wing organized something for him, and they collected some funds, some goodwill donors, and who gave him money to say, hey, thank you for what you did. But that is the UDP support base. That's how much love.
We are not being funded by millionaires.
No. We fund ourselves. Some people were taking advantage of us and taking for themselves the funding that we provide for the party. But UDP is self-funded by its militants in the country, by its diaspora members. So we don't have any corporate institutions behind us. We don't have any government funds coming to us. We do not accept public funds. We do not accept private funds from people who are going to want to dictate their laws to us. That is the UDP. So all of these people came. And we try to provide transportation. Some people come from very far away, URR, CRR, NBR, and part of LRR. But most of the time they say, if you don't have transport, don't worry, we'll make our own way. And most of the people who made their way came by their own means. There's no way we're going to fund all of those people. So we had that massive outpouring of sentiment for Ousainou Darboe, and that massive turnout. And when we got to Pipeline, it was like there was nobody left in the streets in the Gambia. Yeah. We could hardly get him to the podium to speak. And even when he spoke, people didn't want to leave to go home, you know? And he was there until about, we were there, we left the Pipeline about midnight, 31 o'clock in the morning. So this is a man who got up at 4 in the morning, didn't go to bed until about 3, 4 the following day, virtually 24 hours.
24 hours.
Because when I left, I was exhausted. I told him, look, you know, after his speech, I said, I'm going home now, I'm washed out. He smiled, and he went, people followed him inside the house. I don't know how long they stayed there, but I understood somewhere until about 2 in the morning. So which means by the time he had time to take a shower, do his prayers, and, you know, his wird as he does all the day, he probably went to bed again about 3, 4 in the morning. That is the strength and stamina that this man has. So anybody, you know, I keep saying it, I said I traveled with him and I saw how resilient he was, how strong he was, the stamina, and I wonder how, I even asked him once, what's your secret? He smiled and he said, multivitamins. I said, no, that must be some weird or something. But that's the man. This is the man who did 6 weeks of tour non-stop, came and spent 24 hours without sleeping, and you didn't see any sign of fatigue, irritation or frustration on his face. He was just smiling all the time.
Or even dozing off.
Or dozing off,
yeah.
You know, or signs of fatigue. None, nothing. So anybody who ever doubted that this man has the resilience and the capability to lead this country, there you had it for you into yourself.
Yeah. Resilience, capability, the stamina.
The stamina and the intellect.
Mental intellect.
The intellect, the mental resilience, the capacity, and the steadfastness. The being true to himself and to his principles. That is what scares these people who want to see him in State House, because they know that this man will run the country as it's supposed to be for all the Gambians, for everybody to get their rights in this country, for everybody to be able to benefit from what the citizenship of the Gambia confers on them. That is what they're scared of. And that is what we will ensure for this country. Come 5th of December 2026, we will make sure that Ousainou Darboe is the next president of the Gambia, so that we can salvage our country. Because at this point, that's what we are working for. How do we salvage our country from the crop of malfeasance, you know, we're seeing? And we have to salvage this country.
Which the audit reports
have been showing, exactly. The audit reports have been consistently showing the malfeasance going on in this country. And nobody is taking care of that. And you will come to that, you know, we'll lead on that in the audit reports and the findings, but this is what is happening in the country. And even those audit reports made it clear that they didn't capture all the wrongdoing. Yeah. They captured only part of it, and they're telling us that the government's records are not reliable, because what they found was what they saw, but there is much more to it than that. And that is part of the hidden debt and hidden malpractices that we've been talking about, which will only come to light once this government is replaced and we do the forensic audits. That is where we are as a country. And that is where Ousainou Darboe comes in, the hope for the Gambia. That is why so many people turned out to come and meet him, to greet him, to see him just for a fleeting period, 30 seconds to 1 minute, and he's past them. But they are willing to stand 8, 10 hours in that heart-burning sun just to see him and wave to him and shout his name, and then go back home happy we have seen our future president. We've shown him the love we have for him. We've shown him that we want him to lead this country and take us out of this mess. That's where we are. Okay. So Larry, it was really a pleasure seeing the Gambians turn out en masse to receive their future president, to show him that they trust him and they want him as the next president of the Gambia to deliver this country from the clutches of this maladministration, this government that is really ruining the country. They want to be rescued from this government, and Ousainou has promised them.
For this crowd, Lamin, the Gambia, the treasury is a milk cow.
Yeah, yeah.
The treasury is a milk cow.
Yeah, and you know, the interesting thing is Ousainou told them that. So once we get to power, we will fight corruption in this country. We will put the country back on track. We will recover the resources that have been looted from this country. He even reminded Barrow that the house is building on Atlantic Road, return it before it's too late, because you stole public land. Because you cannot legally assign that to yourself. It is prohibited by our laws. The laws of the country do not allow it. But you arrogated that power to yourself with your Minister of Lands, Ahmad Ba. You did that, but you've broken the law. And when the time comes, we will enforce the law. That land will be recovered. So all the money you're putting there, it's good for the country. Yeah, because it's money you took from the country, probably. You know, so
it's like taking with your right hand and giving it to your left hand, and then the left hand gives it back to you.
To the right hand and to the owner.
And to the owner.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Okay.
Good.
Thank you very much.
And just to close, I just want to say a big thank you to the youth wing particularly, and to all those who supported them in pulling this off.
The student wing.
Exactly, the student wing, the female youth wing.
Female youth wing,
you know,
all of them.
And the Keba Kafo and all members of the national executive and all the other members who were around the whole process. You know, people whose names it will be too long to cite, but they know themselves. And we say a big thank you to all of them. And particularly a big thank you to our security forces, the Gambia Police Force and all allied institutions, which came out and showed the Republican attitude that we wanted to see from them. They were very professional. They helped us to move this crowd without a hitch. And our security team, the UDP security team, was just amazing. Amazing. I wish I had another word. These guys stayed with the party leader from the airport to Pipeline, walking and jogging, walking and jogging. They didn't even take transport.
But it shows how fit
they are and how committed they are to the security of our party leader. They were there, and they worked very closely with the national security forces, the police and the allied forces. They worked seamlessly with our UDP security forces. This is the kind of collaboration we want to see. In fact, I understand one senior police officer said, UDP, they are loud, but they are law-abiding.
Yeah.
And that is us. Yes, we are loud when we talk about principles. We want the principles enforced. We want to have this country governed as a normal state with democratic rights, etc., and people's rights respected. We want that. If it's not happening, we'll be loud. We'll be loud to make it happen. But we abide by the law. And we wish everybody do the same, because it takes two to tango. If you abide by the law like the security forces did marvelously, it makes it easy for all of us to abide by the law and do the right thing. Because we do not condone chaos. We do not condone breaking of the law or lawlessness. We tell people, if you come into our midst and want to start chaos, you are not part of us. You are probably some agent provocateur who are planted amongst us to try to create chaos. If you do, we'll hand you over to the security forces. So our security guys were there. They just were vigilant. And everything went without a hitch. And the Gambian security forces did the job we expected of them, and they went beyond the call of duty. So those two, UDP security forces, Gambian National Security Forces, I say to you, I doff my hat to you all. So, and what do I say about the Gambian public who came out to see that? Because they did the whole thing.
And the media. The media
yes,
was there.
Thank you for reminding me that. Because the
quite
media,
strongly,
our strong partners, thank you for that, because they were there too, under this hot burning sun, at their own expense. They came there, they followed us right through to Pipeline and late. And most of these guys are very young people like we have here in Eco TV. I look at the Eco TV crew there, my heart melted, you know? Essentially young ladies and a few young guys. And they were there. And it's the same thing for all the TV stations, you know, for, maybe I should not name because I might forget some, but, you know, but that was it.
In general,
the media was there and has always been there. And the media is our partner. We say we cannot do anything in this country without the media. The media helps us to expose the wrongdoing. The media helps us to propose solutions to the country's issues so that everybody sees. So when people go to vote, they go to vote as informed citizens. And only the media can help us do that. That's the fourth estate. And that's what we expect from the media. And that the media has been doing amazingly well. And we say to them, bravo. Bravo for your steadfastness. Bravo for your patriotism. And for what you're doing for this country. Because without you, all the wrongdoing will be brushed under the carpet. So great job there too. you know.
And bravo to the balanced reporting
Exactly.
of the event. They are reporting across the media houses.
Exactly.
The reporting was very balanced.
And again, this is what we want. Because when we get to power, we want to have the same kind of media, you know, keeping us, you know,
on our toes.
And keeping our feet to the fire. Because we are human beings, we are not angels, we can make mistakes, but if the media keeps scrutinizing, it will make it easier for us to correct whatever mistakes might have been made. And the difference between us and the Barrow regime would be that if we make mistakes, we will admit those mistakes, we will correct them, and we will work with the media. Because we are all partners in this development of this country. The media is a strong component. It's the fourth power. We talk about three powers, this is a fourth power, and that's the media. And only the media can help us do this.
That's why they call it the fourth estate.
Exactly, exactly. So thank you to all of you, and thank you to the Gambian public who came out massively to welcome their future president. I don't know what to say, just to say thank you. Thank you for everything.
Good.
Thank you to all the people who were there. Thank you, Larry.
The audit reports.
Yes, yes.
Let's get back to the serious business of the audit reports. 2021, 22, 23, and 24. But like I said, last week, in the middle of all the brouhaha, 17, 18, 19 were released.
Very good.
I just did a summary of them. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on those three. Our focus will be on 2021, 22, 23.
Yeah.
And then we'll find time to do 17, 18, and 19.
Yeah.
The Auditor General, as we all know, has been removed.
Yes.
And the matter is before the courts.
Right.
He has filed his motion, and I think the government has responded a few days ago. So we wait and see how that comes out. But the gist of what we are going to be talking about is mostly the malfeasance, the literal pilferage of our treasury by a handful of people who have hijacked our country and have literally captured it. Maybe hijacking is not the right way of describing it, but they have captured this thing. And when you look at how money is being dished out to certain individuals, you could actually rhetorically, based on these audit reports, you could rhetorically ask a question. Who are the 5 most closest business entities to the presidency and to the government of the NPP? 5 of them, they stand out. Let's ask that question. Who are these 5?
Yeah.
Let's see how people will read these reports and come out with them. Another thing that we are not going to touch on today is the forensic audit of the Ministry of Health. It has come out.
Yes.
And I saw the minister on Coffee Time on Tuesday telling us that there is no corruption in the ministry, that the allegations of health materials not being available are not true, and then literally threatening to say those who release information unauthorized will be dealt with.
Yeah, and now, if I may just chip in there quickly, this is the same minister who a few years ago went to National Assembly, told us that he was presiding over the most corrupt ministry in the history of this country, and that he is overwhelmed by the corruption in his ministry. And at the time we said, either you resign from that position, or you take the vigorous actions needed to correct that corruption. Yeah. Did he do that? I doubt it. And today he comes and tells us unabashedly that there's no corruption in his ministry. What did you do in the time? What did you do? Did you clean that corruption? It doesn't look so, because until recently, when the chairman of the board was fired because he pointed out, that was at the beginning of this year, end of last year, But he pointed out all the corruption that was taking place, and they were angry at him, and they said he was part of it all. They fired him, and they brought in a new management. That corruption is there, and it's continuing. So when he comes out and tells us his ministry is clean, give us a break.
Yeah, that segment is ready. Now we will do the segment on the audit reports for 2021, 22, and 23. Now, we all recall, viewers and ourselves in the studio, we all recall what the Accountant General's main conclusion was for the 2021, 22, and 23 audit reports. His main conclusion, and I'm quoting, his main conclusion is, quote, based on the Auditor General's professional opinion, the government of the Gambia's 2021, 22, 23 financial statements are unreliable and do not accurately present the central government's financial performance. Unreliable, do not accurately present the government's financial performance. I think this is, as we said in the previous program, this is hugely profound because the Auditor General generally does not sit in a corner and say, it's my opinion.
Yeah.
This opinion is based on documentary evidence
Exactly.
that he has. And in some cases, these are forensic audits. So his opinion notwithstanding, the evidence supports his opinion. And the figures also that we are going to be revealing today will also support the notion that the information that the auditors were being given is unreliable and it's not accurate. He also made a statement to the effect that the audits were delayed because the Accountant General did not provide him the information he needed in order to conduct the audits. And that is why the audits were done late. And I think this is also profound because most of the malfeasance that we are going to be highlighting today needed to be reconciled by the Auditor General, by the Accountant General, so that the Auditor General can do his statutory function unhindered. Now, the famous, that's the opener. I want us to look at the issue of the discrepancies which the Auditor General has highlighted. The discrepancies were about 110 billion across the public accounts. These are discrepancies across all the public accounts. 110 billion discrepancy. Now, as we said, what is a discrepancy? In accounting reconciliation, reconciliation is the process that two sets of records, usually the balances of two accounts, which should be in agreement. And if they are not in agreement, it's a discrepancy. And this, again, in terms of the definition, discrepancies occur when there are differences between these records, which can arise from various sources. Now, there are four types of discrepancies in accounting, four types of errors in accounting. Data entry errors, errors of commission, errors of omission. I like that one. Errors in principle, errors of omission.
Exactly.
Now, for a layperson, this just opened my eyes, and I went and I looked at the various definitions, and it clicked. So we are talking about discrepancies of 110 billion, but that has to be juxtaposed with the losses that he has reported. And the losses combined estimate 107 billion in losses across the three accounting periods. 107 billion in losses. You have 111 billion in discrepancies, and you have 107 billion in losses. That's a total of